Good evening. Welcome to Pitchfork Radio. This is episode number 4, and I'm very excited to join with Santos Bonacci this evening with an episode that I'm entitling Syncretism versus Scientism. I've been following Santos for a very long time. He's a very favorite person of mine, and this is his second trip to my radio show. This time last year, approximately, we spoke. This time we will also be expanding our conversations from last year. So let me introduce you to him via his bio. Santos says, I deal with the subject of syncretism, bringing together all the fields of knowledge and wisdom and showing the interrelatedness of all things. Syncretism is the opposite of division and disunity and covers all the big topics like theology, astrotheology, natural science, astrology, reclaiming dominion, breaking the fictions of religion, science, and law, and the holy science, an ancient science based on the workings of the solar system, which is the science of as above, so below. These sciences enable one to develop wisdom and enlightenment far beyond what this world currently has to offer. The ancients' superiority in all scientific fields is patent still today, after the ravages of time have caused decay and wear. The monuments that are still standing thousands of years after their glorious creation are tacitly declaring to all that have come after that we knew then more than we do now. Engineers know that literally hundreds of the megalithic relics we have of days gone by are impossible to replicate even with the technology of today. Those very same people left us spiritual wisdom too. Love of wisdom has always been the highest virtue of man. Philosophy comes from two Greek words, love and wisdom. The ruling families created counterfeit philosophical organizations, such as corporate religions and churches, to replace the three branches, logic, ethics, and physics, of philosophy and dogma, and doctrine, fear, superstition, and ignorance, and explain how the powers that be, such as the elite oligarchies, through their religious, political, monetary, corporate, etc. institutions, have been suppressing the true science religion that was bequeathed to us by more advanced civilization, such as Egypt, Babylon, Persia, India, Greece, etc. The science of the stars and the soul. This is the knowledge that they prefer we do not have. Knowledge is too empowering and they want control. The greatest enemy of this true wisdom is religion. The clergy have been denouncing scientists, astronomers, alchemists, and killing them for too long now. Things are about to change forever, and they know that mankind is waking up. Welcome, Santos.
Hello, Lily. Thank you for having me on your show, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
I really appreciate you being here. And you can just go ahead and call me Shelley if you'd like to, because I have a couple of pseudonyms that I use online, and the people that are watching this are going to know me as Shelley, okay? Yeah. All right, fantastic. So let me, having made those lovely statements from you, I'd like to just make one of my own, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. So the statement I'd like to make as a foundation for this show is that as far as I'm concerned, and I believe you will agree, that until and unless we can address the spiritual aspect of our beings, we are not complete, and we will not be privy to the additional awareness and knowledge that we need to overcome the obstacles that are facing us today. Truth is truth, regardless of what you think about it. And the label truthers has succumbed to the divide and conquer memes of the internet and the world, and we are now at war with each other over truth. To my way of thinking, unless you really study and test truth for yourself, you dare not call another truther out. Unless you are willing to challenge everything you've been taught or brainwashed to believe, you should not call another's research and study crazy or crap. Nor can we allow ourselves to be fooled by the new age nonsense of relativity, where nothing is really true and it's all about how you feel about it. And this is just more moral relativism, and that is of the dark side, in my opinion. These attacks are known as ad hominem attacks, and they promulgate the divide and conquer theme. They can also be called shoot the messenger. The system we live under has an extremely large and tangled web of deceit, each layer and level adding to the bigger picture of fraud and corruption of truth. When the fruit of a tree is evil, it is easy to call the tree itself evil. When one limb of the octopus is a control mechanism, it follows that all of the tentacles will be as well. One lie from that system invalidates the whole system. So with that said, I will end my soapbox diatribe with this quote from Shakespeare, who was probably really Sir Francis Bacon. To above all, and this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, that thou canst not then be false to any man. So would you like to weigh in on that, Santos?
Yeah, very true, sister. In my work of recent, I'm honing in on the difference between transcendental holy science and pseudoscience. And what has been happening in this world is that pseudoscience has been passing as science, and
right.
the whole gullible world, including so-called truthers who are nothing but pseudoscience half-truthers, and I'm calling them out, who follow with all of these pseudoscience teachings such as gravity, which Tesla, the genius, just laughed at. He just thought that was just hocus pocus nonsense. The globe, which Copernicus himself said that was a hypothesis, and yet you've got all these believers in the globe, no evidence at all. Pseudoscience, Darwinian evolution, Big Bang Theory, and the one you mentioned, which is the worst of all, relativity and relativism, which is totally satanic and demonic teachings. The world has gone after these, they bow down to them, and you'll find 90% of even the truth movement is persuaded by pseudoscience. They've got no intelligence to understand the difference between pseudoscience and transcendental science. I'll give you a good example. Forever in history, in all of our sacred documents, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bible, Quran, the earth has been a flat plane, geocentric, forever and ever and ever. 500 years ago, Copernicus the dunce made the globe famous, and everybody's gone after it. They worship pseudoscience. They worship pseudo because they do not have a shred of intelligence of their own. It's crowd mentality. Obviously, they've been eating too much meat, too many pig's bum. Yeah, bacon and eggs, chicken period, and pig's bum for breakfast. You are what you eat. They can't think. So I feel sorry for them. You know, so I'm trying to help people. I don't want people to end up like Danny the Dunce, and I want people to be intelligent now. This is what Copernicus said. This is the guy they bow down to. Oh, Copernicus and your globe. Oh, this is what he said in Revolution of the Spheres. He was a Jesuit, a liar, a demon worshipper, a teacher. A
Mason.
Yep. He said the hypothesis, of course, I'll have to look up this word because I'm sure they've got no idea what hypothesis means. The hypothesis of the movement of the earth is only one which is useful to explain phenomena, but should not be taken as absolute truth. Well, they've gone and they're running with it as absolute truth. So this is the sort of intelligence we have to deal with. In my work, I will bring back all the sacred teachings, all of them. Every single sacred text has ever taught that the earth is a plane. We live on a plane. What is up, and what is down is down. None of this relativity, hocus pocus, honky shonky stuff. So, yeah, I'm just very, very proud to be one of the teachers of transcendental truth and to expose the liars and the pseudoscientists. So we're going to knock them off their soapboxes, shall we? It's going to be fun.
Works for me.
Ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. It's just, it's wonderful to watch how a lot of people are just shining in their eyes with truth about the nature of the cosmos. And they're going back to these great works like Bhagavad Gita and the Bible. And it's all in there. It's clearly in there, 100%. I've got a whole PowerPoint presentation which I'm going to release soon about all the sacred scriptures, the Quran and all of these wonderful works, and how they show clearly that it's a plane, and they know it at the top. The top people are laughing at these people who think they live on a spinning globe. But we can actually bring forth some evidences, if you like, and to disprove the buffoonery of the globe, if you like, and
Sure.
put it to end forever. How would you like that on your show?
Let's do it.
Great. Here we go. Now, this is all you need. You don't need anything more than this. Of course, we know the level of intelligence on this planet. So, I mean, you've got people who eat cadavers, for instance. So
yeah, and we need to address that in a little bit too.
Yeah, corpses, corpse eaters. You know, corpse begets corpse.
Yes, indeed.
And I mean, and they refer to themselves as zombies. You know, these people, they look around and they go, "Oh, the world's full of zombies." Yeah, it's full of zombies because they're eating corpses, cadavers.
Yep, and you're one of them. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Let the dead bury their dead. Here's one that only intelligent people will get. Okay. This will go over Danny. This will go over the Danny the Dunce types. They won't get it. But I mean, they exist. When you get a camera, a time-lapse camera, and you point it to Polaris, that's Polaris, yeah? You can Google hundreds of these images. So what will happen is, after a couple of hours, the stars surrounding Polaris will leave trails, and they're called star trails. And of course, it's going counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, and it goes clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Of course, most of you half-cocked pseudo-science believers, they'll look at this and they'll say, oh, that proves we're on a globe because it's spinning clockwise in the southern hemisphere and it's counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. Okay, this is how smart people are, you see. So we get these star trails going around like this, perfect star trails. Now I'm going to test your intelligence, shall we? So if you see that in one of these thousands and thousands of North Pole time-lapse images, how many motions does that describe? Can you please, the stars are going this way. They're all going around Polaris, and Polaris is dead still. Can you tell me, please, how many motions does this movement describe? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Well, to me, it would just, the time-lapse aspect of it would just denote one movement. We're observing the movement of the sky around our geocentric Earth.
Thank you for your goddess intelligence, sister. Thank you very much. And it does. That can only describe one movement. But you see, globalists have been indoctrinated to believe in 4 movements. And here they are. It's very funny. The globe, which doesn't exist, the Santa globe, of course. Let's put up here. Santa globe, that's for your Danny types. The Santa globe. We're supposed to be orbiting at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. Sorry, rotating.
Yes, rotating. Yes.
Right. So that's the rotation. The globe's supposedly rotating at the equator at 1,000 miles an hour. Breathtaking. I've been to Ecuador. Can't remember any of that sort of centripetal or centrifugal force, actually. No difference when I was in Australia. Not a shred. Then, of course, they want you to believe that we are orbiting at 67,000 miles an hour. That's the orbit. That's what the O stands for. 67,000 miles an hour around the sun. Don't fall off your chair laughing now. I mean, Mother Earth is laughing her tits off on her back at these people thinking, wow, how dumb can they be? How dumb can they be? Then they want you to believe that we're doing that our solar system, there it is, SS, is moving at 1,000. No, sorry, hang on. It's a ridiculous number. I can't even register. I can't even remember it because it is so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. It is for someone who is in stupor to actually believe. Let's put, I think it's let's make it 100 million miles an hour. That'll do.
That'll do, yeah.
And then the whole system is actually 67,000. Again, this is repeated. The 67,000 miles an hour orbit is 60,000 or 67 million miles that we are flying, hurtling the whole galaxy through space.
Right.
Right. So since I haven't been able to get the accurate numbers for these ones, we won't worry about these, okay? Now, so if all of these star trail images describe one motion, because they can only describe one motion, which one is it? Is it the orbit or is it the rotation? So I'd like to deliberately ask this question, and I would like for Johan Oldenkamp, Danny Wilton, Jan Irwin, and all of these types, James Swagger, and in particular, Vincent Byrne. I would like for Vincent Byrne to get on TNS radio, and I'd like for him to explain to the world how it is that the time-lapse images actually explain the orbit as well as the rotation. I can understand that this would explain a rotation. There's something is rotating, either the heavens or we are. But here's the catch. If this is really happening because we are spinning, the guy who took this photo and all the ones that have ever been taken must be standing directly at the North Pole under Polaris. They cannot be in Australia. You can't be in Australia. You can't be in New York. You can't be in Los Angeles. You can't be in Siberia. You can't be in Italy. You can't be in Iceland. You can't be in Ecuador. You can't be anywhere but under Polaris at the North Pole taking these. Because this is what happens when you think and you use something that's hiding inside the cranium. These people, of course, have fluoridated their pineal gland and who knows what else they've been doing. But this is what would happen if only two of those motions were occurring, a rotation of the Earth and an orbit of the Earth. This is what you would see. Exactly like this, sister. That's what you would see instead of
the concentric rings.
Instead of bullseye rings, you would see this. Why? Can you explain to me why, how this would perfectly explain a rotation around an axis and an orbit? I don't mind if you want to pass, I will explain it. But if you want to have a go, please do.
You go for it.
Okay, well, it's simple. So this wave amplitude here, and it's curved. I've done that deliberately because we're supposed to be curving as we're orbiting around the sun. So this must be happening. When you do a time-lapse photograph of anything in the sky moving, this is what you should be seeing. Because why? Because this going up and down would explain the rotation, describes the rotation, but it has to be shifting. It has to be moving because, of course, remember, we're doing 67,000 miles an hour orbit. I'd love to see Vincent Byrne get on TNS radio, which I'd love to shut down for spewing out buffoonery and stupidity. The whole station is worthless. It's a station for swine-eating demon worshippers, and Vincent is #1 pork-eating demon worshipper that has ever bowed down to any form of pseudoscience on the planet, bar none. Even more so than Danny Wilton. But they're pretty much together, holding hands. This curvature here, this movement, what had happened is you'd have circles like this describing the orbit, but you would also have this curved movement of that sine wave because it has to move. It has to orbit. Now, that's just describing 2 of the motions, sister, not 4. Mm-hmm. Not 4. So that's in the hands of Johann Oldenkamp. That's in the hands of Vincent Byrne. I'd like for the whole 5 of them to get together and see if they can muster up more intelligence than a retarded gnat and give the world an answer to that. That's just the one. It's all you need. You don't need any more. But I'm going to give you some more. Would you like that? Steak knives included?
You bet.
Lovely. You're an intelligent sister, and I like that. I love intelligence. So beautiful to see intelligence. Intelligence comes from the divine stars, from the firmament, from the vault in the heavens. It's called the dome, the dominus. It is the Lord, it is Krishna. And the ones who mock this, the ones who mock the true cosmology, woe unto them. I'd hate to think where they are going for their stupidity. I would hate to think where they are going. Here's one. This is another funny one. This one's for Johann Oldenkamp. I'd love to see him answer this. Jesus, really love it. He's got a school. It's called the School of the Science with Holes in it. It's funny how the universe. When I first published my material, I published it as the holy science. Make no mistake about it, holy. Johann comes along.
Adds a W to it, right?
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, and he calls his the holy science because it's got holes in it. Full of holes. Apart from the personal hygiene problem that he has, he's got some intelligence problems, but we'll look after him. I love him. Funny, globalists tell you that all orbits are elliptical. Wow. Yeah. That's very intelligent. They're very smart, globalists. There's the Earth, and there's the Moon. And, of course, it's an elliptical orbit. Isn't it now? So here we have, and of course you see the gravity of the Earth, the gravity that Tesla laughed at and thought, who believes that crap? Tesla was just sitting there laughing his tits off going, who believes that? The whole world does. Johann Oldenkamp, Danny Wiltons, they're all clapping their hands going, oh, gravity. Woo-hoo. We love you.
The magic sauce that answers all of the problems that we throw at them.
Oh, yes. Gravity.
Yes, if it isn't gravity, it's dark matter, Yes,
1 million pounds of gravity. And they believe it. And they're going to the bank and they're buying up, they're stocking up on gravity, these people. Yep. Okay, so this one's for Johann. I wonder how Johann's going to explain this now with his holes, science with holes in it. So if the gravity force and the pull of the Earth is keeping the Earth the Moon in orbit, what happens at perihelion when the Moon is at its most distant part in its course around the Moon, around the Earth? Why doesn't it fly off over here, and why doesn't it get sucked into the Earth over here when it's closest at apohelion? Aphelion and perihelion. These are words that most of you pseudo-scientists, Danny Wilton types, are just going to have to go to the dictionary and learn. Sure. But this is perihelion, this is aphelion. Why does the Moon not get sucked into the Earth due to gravitational pull? I mean, you've got millions and billions of tons of water that are getting sucked into the Earth. Why not the Moon? And isn't it funny how they think that the the moon is actually pulling the waters, the tides. Can't influence any of the waters in the lakes and in the rivers, of course, only the oceans. But it's the moon that's pulling the tides, isn't it? Now, funny that it's got enough gravitational pull to influence the tides, but it hasn't got enough to get drawn into the Earth here or fly off on a tangent over here in its elliptical orbits.
Exactly. And the other part of this that's hilarious is there's the gravity aspect of it's strong enough to influence the waters and the tides and to hold the water on a ball, which nobody can duplicate in any form or fashion, but it's not too strong to allow birds and bees and butterflies and airplanes and helicopters to escape the Earth's hold.
Oh yes, of course. Oh, it's just blind. It's blind force. It's a discriminating blind force. It's just so intelligent, a bit like monkey man theories, evolution and Big Bang and all of these that they love dearly to the death, and they will support them to the death rather than exercise a little bit of a shred of intelligence. And so another point might be this one, sister. I can go on and on and on. On the globe, you're supposedly there's 1,000 miles 1,000 miles of spin here. Now, so gravity is centripetal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Supposedly.
Well, that's what sucks us onto the Earth, doesn't it? It's centripetal. We are just being, you know, we're standing over here and whoa, I'm over here in Australia. Actually, this is me down here, sister. And here's you up here. You got a skirt on. My skirt's upside down. Excuse me. I can't just. Yeah, well, see, this is why I wear pants a lot, because, you know, I don't know how I think the women must have put starch in their skirts so that they don't fall down when they're upside down in Australia here, so their panties aren't showing. I'm sure they're worked it all out, but I won't do the dresses anymore because I'm into wearing pants now because I'm sick of, you know, me skirt falling down with gravity not being sure. See, sometimes gravity's not sure whether it should keep the dust particles stuck to the Earth or just the billions and billions of tons of ocean liners down here in Australia that come down to Melbourne and Sydney and Newcastle and into the Australian ports. See, that gravity's so clever that it says, well, look, you know, those ships are doing a good job. We'll keep those stuck to the water and the water stuck to the Earth. But all the dust particles and the butterflies and the water vapors, they don't believe in gravity and they're not very intelligent, so we'll just let them fly around, won't we? So if gravity is centripetal and you're spinning here at Ecuador, you're sitting in a coffee shop with your loved one and you're facing, if your loved one's facing west, do not whisper into their ears, I love you, dear, because they'll never get the message, because that speed is faster than the speed of sound, which is 748 miles per hour. So if you're in Ecuador having a coffee, make sure your loved one's facing east to you so they'll get the message if you want to whisper in their ear that you love them. You don't want them to you know, to leave you because you don't send them flowers and whisper in their ears anymore. So watch out when you go to Ecuador, but nowhere else, just at the equator. Now, so if you're spinning at faster than the speed of sound at the equator, wouldn't that be centrifugal thrust? Wouldn't that be I'll have to write these words down because Danny Wilton's going to have to check them in the dictionary. There you go, Danny and Johan and Vincent. Centrifugal. Yeah, it's in the dictionary. Trust me. I've checked it. It's in the dictionary, and centripetal. They're two different forces. One is convergent. The other one is divergent. Yeah, you'll work it out. That's okay. Never mind. You're spinning on a globe. I understand. No worries. So what is it then? Are we going to get hurled off at the equator because of centrifugal 1,000 miles an hour faster than the speed of sound hurtling rock mass through the heavens? Or are you going to be sucked in by intelligent gravity, the hypothesis of Newton? You want to take a pick, sister? Which one will it be?
I prefer to be on a stationary plane. Thank you very much.
Well, if you want to answer an answer to that, just write to Danny Wilton, I guess. He's got a lot of answers. He's got a cartoon show about the Ryan Nebula. And he sees a lot of dinosaurs and gobbledygits and all sorts of lizards and gizmos. Every day, of course, the Jesuits change the cartoons on him, so there's always a new monster in the Orion Nebula. But hey, it's a great cartoon show. And he's got about 10 followers who always give him thumbs up. It's nice to see that his 10 followers have been faithful with him till the end. So,
well, Santos, what would you say to people when we're having this discussion and they go, what does it matter what the shape of the Earth is?
Yeah, these are the same people who probably, I don't know, eat a lot of white bread. The whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. These are probably people who drink water straight from the tap. These are people who probably eat a lot of pig's bums. You know, to ask such a question, that question should never even exist. It should never even.
I agree with you, but it does. And to me, it just begs the question of the intelligence of the individual asking. But I think it might be worthy of just a sentence or two as to why it matters.
Yeah, well, the people who are teaching our little children with their malleable, beautiful, sweet intelligence, that are teaching them hocus pocus, honky shonky, dodgy, bodgy, bogus pseudoscience like gravity, relativity, evolution, Big Bang, globe, and all of these crocs. Are we happy with that? I mean, oh, what does it matter? Does it really matter? You know, this is the question they ask due to the pollution of their scandalous, unscrupulous minds being polluted with the flesh of rotting corpses that they ingest in their bodies. And you are what you eat, and you can see by their physique that they are quite polluted. Are we quite happy to let these teachers of pseudoscience infiltrate our children's minds and pervert them with such stupidities, and to take them away from the Creator and giving credit to the Creator where it is due, to intelligence, to allowing our children to grow their intelligence rather than suspending their intelligence and walking around saying such stupid stuff as though we were upside down in Australia? Can we just allow that to happen? Do we not care about the future generations? Have we not seen what this Jesuit-controlled, pedophile-run, psychopathic system has produced? Brain-dead zombies all around the planet? People who are more stupid than retarded gnats? Walking around on the globe, going off to war, killing each other in Syria, murdering each other, murdering each other's intelligence, hating on other people because they're intolerant of their beliefs, Muslim hating Christian, Christian hating Jew, etc., etc., all because of pseudoscience and the perversity of it and the perversity of the idiots who follow it.
Well, that's enough said as far as I'm concerned, because I am created. I am not a Big Bang accident. I am not random. I am here for a purpose, and part of what I do on these shows is a manifestation of the purpose I believe I came here to be. So I guess I am guilty to some degree because I didn't come to this awareness until last year. And I probably am guilty of hanging a constellation and solar system over my kids in the crib for their first mobile. However, I'm doing everything I can to undo that, because once you know better, you must do better.
Yes, you must. And I'm guilty as well. You know, I was a meat eater up until eight years ago, and it's only due to becoming vegetarian that I have acquired syncretism. It's the only way. There's no other way. Once one stops feasting on cadavers, then one acquires their natural intelligence. And I was also guilty with the heliocentric model in that I have taught it in all of my astrotheological and syncretism presentations, for which I repent wholeheartedly and have been able to salvage my intelligence once again to be humble enough to accept the truth. Where is the humility of these people who discount point blank anything to do with any theory that upsets their apple cart and upsets what they have been indoctrinated? These people ought to be warned and ought to be very, very careful, because they jump behind a microphone and call themselves truthers, and they have their little pet truths, and they expect people to accept their little pet truths. One of them, you know, might be Gaza. You know, some idiots, all they focus on is Gaza. Oh, the Zionists and Gaza, we've got to free Gaza. Or we've got to free Chappelle Corby from her prison. How is anyone going to pay attention to idiots like that if they do not embrace and accept humbly all the truths that are presented before them? So they've got their little pet truth, and then they wonder, oh, the world's getting more and more stupid, and why don't they accept my truth? Well, because you haven't accepted all the truths yet. You watch what happens, Sister Shelley, that by the minute, syncretism is growing supporters exponentially by the minute. I know this because I'm the one who gets all the messages. Syncretism is smashing all the pseudo-scientists off their little soapboxes, and they're all looking like the idiots that they really are. Half-truther, Mayavadi, half-truther, indoctrinated, swine-eating, demon worshippers. And I'm just going to go after the demons, man, until there's no more demons polluting this plane. And syncretism will do it. It's back, and it's here to stay, I'm glad to say.
I'm happy too, because I was so excited when I saw you add the flatness to your syncretism. I was just jumping for joy, because that was really, honestly, the only thing that needed to be added to. The rest of it now has the full picture. You've gone full circle, and you embrace all of the truth, and you expose all of the bullcrap.
All of it. It's all going down. It's all going down in a pile, in a heap that it always has been. And the exponents of it are still out there. Not if I have my way. I'm working on it, and I will put them in their little corner. And truth only truth will be expounded on this plane. And I'll make sure of it, sister. I know you will too.
Absolutely. Would you like to converse just a little bit about the elliptical, and why, or is that what we call it? The ecliptic. Why that works so much better on the flat plane premise than we could make it work on the globe?
Yeah, well, of course, the ecliptic, as I've always said, is the root cause of all the astrological phenomena in existence. It's the ecliptic, and the ecliptic only. Siderealists will argue with that, and they will say that it's the dome and the zodiac belt behind the ecliptic. But that has a minor influence, but not as powerful as the ecliptic. It's all the ecliptic. And I'm very happy to have learnt this from the great esoteric scientist Thomas H. Burgoyne. And so what we have in the center of the flat Earth plane, as far as we know, we have, this is what we call the North Pole, Mount Meru, and this is where Magnetic Mountain is. And so all your countries around here. And so what we have is the Tropic of Cancer is the outer circle. And the Tropic of Cancer is the inner circle. And the equator is in between. And so what we have is the sun is doing clockwise circles around the North Pole every 24 hours. So what happens is, for you guys that live on the inner half of the plane, when the sun is at the Tropic of Capricorn, you have winter. When the sun travels to the Tropic of Cancer, you guys have summer, because the sun is closer to you and wherever you are here in the northern, what they call the northern hemisphere, which is the inner hemisphere. So what is produced? What is produced yearly is the analemma. The analemma, if you have the Tropic of Cancer like this above and the Tropic of Capricorn below and the equator here, the analemma does something like this. That's the analemma. It's 16 degrees wide here at the top and 32 degrees wide here.
Okay.
And it's 8.5 degrees. Funny how the figure 8 is actually 8.5 degrees at the crossing here. Right? Mm-hmm. So what you have is, when the sun is at the Tropic of Capricorn, it's obviously doing large circles at the Tropic of Capricorn as it climbs the mountain. This is the holy mountain of God. And so what it does is a vortex goes through the equator. These are the circles the sun is making. It gets narrower and narrower as it gets to Cancer. And so you've got the wide circles at the bottom, and it has this kind of a TP shape. As it compresses, converges at Cancer, and it diverges at Capricorn. So you've got centripetal convergence, and you've got centrifugal divergence at Capricorn. And this is the shape. And this actually, the width of the analemma here proves conclusively that the sun is doing larger circles at the Tropic of Capricorn than it is at the Tropic of Cancer. Now, why am I introducing the analemma here? To show that the ecliptic is the source and root and cause of all of our theologies and all of our wisdom and all of our astrological influences, etc., etc., etc. And I've based all of my presentations on the ecliptic. This is the ecliptic. You see, we're used to seeing the ecliptic on a globe in such a fashion. You see that the globe has an equator, has the Tropic of Cancer here, and the Tropic of Capricorn here, and then you see a sine wave like this. Right? That's how I've done it, and I still continue to do it like that. But that ecliptic is the same as this ecliptic. This point here, where it starts here, is this point here, March the 21st. And so the sun has to climb, go up to the Tropic of Cancer, which is here. So from here to here is this bit here, 90 degrees of arc.
Okay.
And this is where Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are found. Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are right there. And here they are on the analemma. Then as the sun has to, when it hits the Tropic of Cancer, it has to decline. It has to wane for 6 months. And it goes down this tent. And it loses its influence, you see? And it loses its force from the Northern Hemisphere perspective. I'm going to continue to use these faulty expressions because we still need these until we've discarded totally with the globe and gravity and all demon worship on this plane and all your Danny Wiltons we'll still have to be using these expressions. So what happens now is we find that if you pay attention, of course, you have to pay attention, you'll find that everywhere where the analemma hits a tropical point, which are these 4 tropical points here, you'll find that religious festivities are practiced all around the globe. For instance, down here, we have Christmas. Over here, we have Easter. Over here, the Jews have Yom Kippur. They have, on the 23rd of September here, they have, at the autumnal equinox, they have Judgment Day, Atonement Day, Rosh Hashanah, Tishri. Tishri is here in Libra. This is the scales of Libra here. When the sun goes down, it gets judged here. And that's why they call the 23rd of September Judgment Day. So this is what's going on. Here at the solstice is called John the Baptist's birthday. John the Baptist has his birthday on June the 24th. Directly opposite, on December the 25th, we have his cousin, who is 6 months older, 6 months. I'm pointing this out because you've got a lot of Danny Wiltons out there and they won't get it. Okay, so 6 months later, Jesus has a birthday. Now, it's funny because John the Baptist gets his head cut off on August the 21st. Sorry, the 29th. August the 29th is here when the sun is going down here. Sorry, when the sun is going down this way. Right here at the crossing, there's only 2 dates where the sun crosses here. 2 dates. One is August the 25th and March the 15th. April the 15th. April the 15th is when it's going up. August the 29th is when it's going down. So, April 15th, that is the birthday of Sri Rama, the brother of Krishna. Krishna is Christ. Ram means lamb. Jesus is the Lamb of God. John the Baptist said, "See, the Lamb of God that take away the sin of the world."
Yeah.
That is the birthday in Aries, on April the 15th. In Aries, the ram,
right.
So on the 15th of April, God, Sri Rama or Krishna, same person, just different names, has a birthday. In Aries, the ram, the lamb. And on the way back, on the same crossing day, right there, in your liturgical year, John the Baptist gets his head cut off. Now, on the way up, the sun is in Aries. On the way down, it's in Virgo, the Virgin. Remember, John the Baptist, when Herod says to the daughter of Herodias, he says, "I'll give you half of my kingdom, anything you want, because you danced so well." He said that to the virgin child. And the virgin said, "Well, just give me the head of John the Baptist on a platter."
Right.
That's the platter. That's the head of John the Baptist here, because John the Baptist's birthday is at the solstice. Jesus' birthday, the sun, Sol Invictus, is on the 25th of December, opposite.
Yeah.
One gets born here, one gets his head cut off here. Easter happens here, Tishri happens here, and that is only the beginning of all of the coincidental dates that occur on the ecliptic. So when you ask the question, it's a very, very charged and beautiful question, and thank you for asking it. Why do you base everything on the ecliptic? Because everything in the universe is thought waves, and those thought waves are what's the word I'm looking for? Fractal is not the word, but they are as above, so below. They are all doing the same thing. Every wave, there's no particles. They're looking for the God particle because they're delusionary, a la Danny the Dunce. So when you're deluded, you go looking for things that don't exist, like globes and gravity and relativity. But when you transcend this mind and you become a transcendentalist, which is what you and I have done, then you can transcend these moronic teachings, which are suited for really, they really are suited for meat eaters. Flesh eaters are unintelligent. They think they're intelligent. Yes, they can build houses, they can build submarines and aircraft, they can do lots of things that appear to be intelligent. But rest assured, sister, this is the kind of intelligence that is derided in the scriptures. In Thessalonians, it says, "For the wisdom of the world is stupidity in the eyes of God, and he will make the wise ones of this world look stupid with their stupidity." And these stupid ones are practicing such murderous things as murdering sentient beings to stuff their intestines with corpse and cadaver and carcass. These are what Shelley called carcass crunchers 200 years ago. He called them carcass crunchers, and despised them because they are murderous. And so they will accept anything that is put in front of them. You put a globe in front and they'll bow down and worship the globe, a la Danny Wilton, Johan Oldenkamp. They'll bow down and worship it, and they'll profess to be truthers. So I'm going to shut their mouths up forever. It's my job.
Works for me. Okay,
Works for me.
Another question.
Works great.
Because we have been so brainwashed to believe that we are on this planet, one of a cajillion other Earths or other planets, a lot of us have the mindset that how could Earth be different if I can look through my telescope and I see spheres out there, or what appear to be spheres, and I have yet to make that determination for myself what they are exactly. I call them luminaries, wandering stars, various other things since I have awoken to this. But that one is an interesting one that comes up quite frequently. I look through my telescope and I see Jupiter, and it is a sphere. Therefore, we're going to jump to the conclusion that since Jupiter looks like a sphere, that Earth must be as well.
Yeah, the planets are like anything else. They are sonoluminescent bodies. So they are produced by sound and light, and everything is a sound and light show in the universe. When you go and pay $100 to go and see Bon Jovi or Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones, what are they going to be giving you but sound and light? They can't give you anything else. There's nothing else to offer. They cannot do anything else. There's nothing else to do. There's only sound and light. So Jupiter is a sonoluminescent body produced. It's a sacred geometric sound form, light form. It is not as dense as the Earth, therefore it is not terrestrial. We live on a terrestrial plane, which is very, very dense light, but it is nonetheless, the Earth is still a sonoluminescent body, but it's a dense one, and the moon is less dense. They are all disks. They appear to be spheres, but they are disks, and we can just work this out by paying attention. Look at the Egyptians. All of their monuments have winged sun disks on them. They don't have globes. There's no winged sun globes flying through the air. It is the winged sun disk. This is why Jesus has 12 disciples. The 12 disciples, discipline comes from disc. The Earth is a disc. The moon is a disc. They have some curvature on them, but that's just because of the light. It's an effect of the light. And they're not places where physical bodies can go and live. Clearly, all the scriptures talk about our world being like this. The Earth is the middle garden. That is the Earth. It is a plane. Then the moon has her disk, then Mercury, then Venus, then the Sun, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn. 7 above, 7 heavenly subterranean levels below. And so there are 15. This is a system. This is how Brahma, the creator of physical worlds, creates all the worlds. He does not create them as terrestrial planes. This one is the terrestrial plane. These are also similar to the Earth in width and as planes. All of these are where the ETs mostly are coming from these subterranean planets. You can read about this in Srimad Bhagavatam. You can read about this in the Quran. You can read about this in every single ancient cosmology. Nowhere in any of the ancient cosmologies, nowhere except after Aristotle the buffoon, do you hear about the globe. Because Aristotle was a materialist and he wanted to explain everything materially to exclude the creator, which his teacher Pythagoras was teaching. Pythagoras and Plato, rather, the teacher of Aristotle, they were transcendentalists. Whereas Aristotle was a monkey man, like Newton and all the rest of them. They're monkey men. Einstein, they're monkey men. Why do you think Einstein's always posing like? Why is he sticking his tongue out? You won't catch Pythagoras or Plato doing any of that stupidity, because he's telling you, I'm a moron and I'm turning you into a moron with my relativity idiotic flatulence and unicorn farts and pixie dust. and your Danny Wiltons are marching forward preaching these unicorn farts. You know, it's just ridiculous. So these discs, they also have spheres. These are spheres. So it's not incorrect to say that we live in a sphere. You've heard of sphere of influence, etc.
Sure.
These planets are heavens, and there are 7 of these material or heavenly spheres above our plane, and these correspond. There are three more above this that are ruled by Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which make the 10 Sephiroth. The 10 Sephiroth of Kabbalah. And so this is Malkuth. This is in the Hebrew system. This is Jewish. This is Christian. This is all the theologies. So when you get a dunce that comes along like your Johann Oldenkamps and preaches, oh, we live on a globe, everyone knows that. We've seen the NASA cartoons, those two CGI pictures. We can see that it's a perfect sphere. This is another thing I'd like to say to, this is a question I'd like to pose to Vincent Byrne, Johann Oldenkamp, Jan Irvin, and Danny the Dunce. Which globe are you supporting? Neil deGrasse Tyson's pear shape, because he is pear shaped. Of course he's going to be talking about a pear shaped oblate spheroid. It's pear shaped. It's a pear shaped, a bit like my body, my disgraceful pear shaped obese blob of cadaver, and the Earth is trying to, this pear-shaped moron, dunce, swine eater, is trying to convince the people with his googly eyes and all of his Freemasonic globe, you know, all of his, you can see him doing all his Freemasonic wanking gestures that he does.
Yeah.
Disgrace Tyson. And of course, Danny the Dunce is his best friend. Which globe are you supporting? The perfect blue marble of the Japanese NASA agency, lying agency, or the 1972 lying globe, or Disgrace Tyson's pear? Which globe is it, guys? You've got to make up your mind, because you look like a pack of dunces and I'm going to make you look like a pack of dunces more and more every day. I ain't going to let you rest. These guys, they must be cursing me. I mean, I can imagine the nightmares they're having. All they can hear is, oh, Santos Bonacci. Oh, Danny Wilton must be absolutely, he watches all my videos, all of them. I've never watched any one of his, but he watches every single video of mine. The guy's obsessed with me. He calls me Monsanto, which in French means
My Satan.
Mwah.
Yeah.
My Santo. Monsanto. He loves me. He's obsessed with me. I don't know why, but because
That's a little disturbing, Santos.
Is a bit.
Just a bit. Okay, so we've got, you brought that up with the 12 disciples. So I would like, if you could, to share with us all of the 12s that so nicely are synchronous with the 12 disciples, the 12 meridians of the body, the 12 cell salts, all of the symbolism behind the 12 and how it outpictures in our lives and in our mythologies.
Beautiful. The sun on the ecliptic, when the sun is in Aries, the sun produces potassium phosphate and other elements. It produces gold, it produces iron. How do I know this? Well, because I pay attention. Alchemists teach that you can only transmute iron into gold when the sun is in Aries or Scorpio. Aries or Scorpio. Why would alchemists, the true scientists, transcendental scientists, not your chemists, which are the pseudo-scientists, why would they know that you can only transmute certain elements into gold when the sun is in certain places of the ecliptic? Well, that's because the sun on the ecliptic produces all things on the ecliptic. So when the sun is in Aries between March the 21st and April the 21st, it produces gold, iron, and potassium phosphate. Now, Schussler of the Schussler cell salts, he examined the remains of corpses, cadavers that he cremated, that were cremated rather, and he discovered that all corpses of humans and animals consist of 12 salts. But he did not venture to discover, as George Carey did 50 years after Schussler, that all of those salts are produced on the ecliptic when the sun is on the ecliptic at those particular periods. So the salt for Aries is potassium phosphate, and the sun produces this for 30 days on this plane when it's in Aries. Mm-hmm. Then when the sun goes from the 21st of April to the 21st of May in Taurus, it produces sodium sulfate. Then the next sign, the next 30 degrees and 30 days, is Gemini, and it produces potassium chloride. Right. Then in Cancer, it produces calcium fluoride. Then in Leo, magnesium phosphate. Virgo, potassium sulfate. Libra, sodium phosphate. Scorpio, calcium sulfate. Sagittarius, silica. Capricorn, calcium phosphate. Aquarius, sodium chloride. Pisces, iron phosphate. And these are the 12 salts, the pillar of salt that wife's Lot happened to turn into and was, because we are a pillar of salt. Our saliva tastes like salt saliva. Right. Urine tastes salty. Your blood tastes salty. Your tears taste salty. Your sweat tastes salty. Your sexual fluids taste salty. We are a pillar of salt. And so the sun on the ecliptic makes salt. Salt is electricity. Everything is electrical. And so, of course, if you know the ecliptic and not cartoons, you don't want to be a fan of cartoons like the Orion Nebula and all of these Jesuit CGI tricks. You want to be a fan of the ecliptic. Once you know the ecliptic, you know all things.
Okay, so I was introduced to homeopathy when I was a child via the cell salts. I was fortunate enough to have an aunt and a grandmother who were master herbalists, and I was also introduced to that philosophy along with the cell salts philosophy, which kind of launched me in the direction that I have taken ever since. And I currently, for the last 34 years, have been a naturopathic doctor. So what I have found so exciting in reconnecting with the cell salts, and I thank you for that, was the aspect of the astrology that goes with them. And as I have been working with the cell salts and the astrology, then I'm learning also about the 12 disciples and the 12 sons of Jacob/Israel, and the connections that are made through every aspect of our being and our mythologies to these 12 fill in the blank. So I went out and got a new copy of this because I lost the other one in a fire, and I know you've been using this to do some of your teaching, and I do agree with you that all of the references in here are out of order, and they should be beginning with Aries, and it makes it kind of confusing trying to work with this. But this is pretty exciting. This can help people figure out, based on their facial characteristics, what cell salts they're deficient in. And Mr. Carey's book I am reading on Kindle, and I find it fascinating because at the end of each of his discussions about the salt and what they do and how the deficiencies produce this problem and that problem, he tells you that it's relative to this disciple, Simeon, or it's relative to Judah, the son of Jacob, the whatever son he was, right? We also have 12 meridians of the body. And you know, we can work through this holistic philosophy to help all of us find truth, to find health, to be able to be vital in the way we think and vital in the way we live, the way we feed ourselves, the way we treat each other, the way we treat our sentient brothers, the animals. So could we have a little discussion about, and you've kind of threaded that through our current discussion, but how do you believe the vegan approach is a representation of this holistic truth that we've been talking about?
Well, the vegan approach is the natural approach. A lot of Christians will quote certain scriptures that have been twisted, and the wording, for instance, meat is actually the word for food should be translated where it says meat. Mm-hmm. It should be food, you see. And so, and of course, meat is also the meat of apples, the meat of grapes. You know, that is meat. That is sure. The meat of fruit. So what they've done for a start is they've twisted the scriptures. But the point is this: if God has to step in and say, oh, wait a minute, my original plan now has changed and you can now eat meat. Before you couldn't, but now you can. This is God that's changing his mind, right? Mm-hmm. Or this is God that is changing his order. This is something that people who misquote scriptures should be paying attention to. That if something was perfect at one stage for God, and then he changed his order and allowed human beings to actually murder sentient beings, his own creation, not slaughter, murder. Isn't there something wrong with that? Yes, there is. And what is it? The interpretation that they give it.
Of course.
You know, they're quite happy to change God's mind to suit their perverse lusts, the tyranny of their senses, so they can satisfy their hunger for what is evil and what is forbidden. Absolutely. But they're not happy and humble enough to pay attention to the injunction, thou shalt not murder. Exactly. And that is it. It's quite simple. Thou shalt not murder. That means thou shalt not murder. So anything that's got a fully developed nervous system, anything that's got a brain, a face, anything that does poo, all animals do poo. Last time I checked, cow's dead poo. It's called holy shit. Yes. Yeah, psilocybin mushrooms grow out of it and give you some DMT experiences. So it is holy. Last time I checked, goats did poo. Pigs do poo. So anything that does poo and you eat that, that just shows that you are ingesting the toxins of that animal because it was killed whilst excreting poo.
Of course, because it was terrified, and that would be the natural response.
That's right. So the vegan way is the pure way. When you look at the scriptures properly, there's an example in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were vegetarian, and of course they were taken to Babylon as exiles. And the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, would give them all sorts of dainties and all sorts of Babylonian food, you know, a bit of pig's bum, bit of cow's bum, all sorts of bums, of course, with condiment and spices and oils and salts and sugars to hide the stench of cadaver. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they resisted the food of the Babylonians, and they said, give us vegetables and water only. And then when the king came back after a month and examined who would look healthier and who would not, what did he find? Well, he found that the Hebrews looked much, much cleaner in the eyes and healthier than the ones who ate the Babylonian pig's bums and what have you. And so what you'll find that the scriptures do teach the truth, that the vegan way, the vegetarian way is the true way. And, you know, just a little bit of logic, a little bit of heartfelt reason, a little bit of intuition tells you that we're not designed to eat meat. And all you have to do is look at meat eaters and you'll see the difference. And you'll see that they look so ghastly. They look like death, walking death. They look like they've caught some sort of a plague. Not just their face and their body look out of shape and warped and disgusting, but you'll see that the vegans look good. They look sexy. They look fresh. They look clean. Their heart is pure. You can go up to them. They're humble. They're sweet. Whereas you'll find that all these warmongers, all these young men that are out there killing in Iraq, Syria, they're all meat eaters. You will never find, there's never been a vegetarian, not one in history, that has fought in any war to kill and murder and plunder and rape as there are meat eaters. So I
agree.
Case closed. There's no argument. But let the dead bury their dead. They are the walking dead. They are zombies. They're living corpses. Corpses beget corpses. And you can't convince them.
Absolutely not. The other thing that I find really fascinating is that, you know, those of us who've been studying legal versus lawful, digging into the origins of all of the megalithic corporations and what they own and what they control and that type of thing. Look at the word corporation. What does that denote? Corp. Okay. The fact that they produce this disgusting lifestyle that they impose upon us through these corporations is an example to me of exactly what they want us to participate in, and that is cannibalism. And whether you call it a steak or whether you call it a corpse, it's still a living, it was formerly a living, functioning, sentient being with a fully developed nervous system that was murdered. And that is on you when you put it in your mouth. Now, what we have also discovered in looking at the DNA associated with fast food meat, and I don't know if you've seen this, you probably have, but that DNA, some of it is coming back human. And I believe that this is being introduced purposely so that we can ingest the terror and the horror associated with the deaths of obviously humans as well as other sentient beings, and inject and put that into our field and uptake the death energy of that, and then we can be co-opted into these death rituals that are taking place in so many places, in so many ways, in so many different symbolic behaviors. It's disgusting. If you know what you're looking for, it's everywhere.
It is, sister. Look, when it all boils down to this, do we really want to continue living on this plane, whatever the shape it is? Do we really want to continue this way with corpses everywhere, corporations, corpses, abattoirs full of stinking, rotting corpses, and we eat that shit? Do we really want to continue living like this? We are murdering. Pythagoras and Leonardo da Vinci, both the most famous geniuses in history, both the most famous vegans in history, bar none, because you can't get to genius eating meat. All of the geniuses, all of them, Socrates, Seneca, Pythagoras, Tesla, all of them, every single one of them, they said, we will continue to be murdering each other in wars while we are continuing to murder animals. We will not escape this. Murdering animals begets murdering human beings. It will never change. Do we want to continue like this? Are we happy to see our children being indoctrinated with lies that we live on a globe, we're upside down, we're spinning around, head spinning, nothing is up and nothing is down, it's all relative? Do we want to continue allowing doctors to be murdering people on the operating theatres because they do not know astrology, and they are operating people when the moon is in that part of the body that would make them bleed? For instance, if the moon is in Aries and a doctor is performing open brain surgery on the cerebrum, that individual will bleed to death in the head. Or if the moon is in Leo and they're performing open heart surgery, that individual will bleed to death. Once we open up all the records in the hospitals around the world and look at all the cases of people that died on the operating theatre, we will find that the moon was responsible, or other conjunctions of planets, because they were in that part of the body which deals with that part of the body that Hippocrates said, unless a physician is an astrologer, he is not worthy to be called a physician. Now, why have they removed that part of the Hippocratic oath? Because it's convenient for them, because they want dumbass doctors killing people because there's money to be spun in that industry. Do we want this? Do we want dentists filling our children's mouths with amalgams and bisphenol A plastic fillings and mercury? Do we want doctors injecting our children with thimerosal and all sorts of toxins in vaccinations and immunizations? Do we want continual war and a military-industrial complex? Well, if we do, well, let's continue following Johann Oldenkamp and Danny Wilton and Jan Irwin and Vincent Byrne and all of these types to hell. Let's continue following the blind leading the blind. Or do we want transcendental scientists to return to this plane? Do we want to be reading the sacred scriptures that teach us the true world that we live in, the nature that we live in, and do we want to advance? Or do we want to stay in the dark ages? You know, it hurts me so much when you hear these idiots like David Whitehead and Michael Tsarian talking about the flat earth theory. There's no flat earth theory, idiots. There is a globe theory, though. Oh, let me read it again. Here's the globe theory, moron Tsarian and moron Whitehead. Here's Copernicus. There's no flat earth theory, dunces. Revolution of the spheres. The hypothesis, theory of the movement of the earth, the globe, you pack of dunces, is only one which explains phenomena and should not be taken as absolute truth. I'm going after them all. I don't care how big the names are. If Jordan Maxwell turns around and says we live on a globe, I'm going after his ass.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about that one.
I don't care. I don't care who the name is. They're going down as swine eaters and demon worshippers and globalists, because all the scriptures which they have not read concur that we live on a plane Up is up and down is down. There's no relativity. There's no globe. There's no demon worshipping ball, Santa ball. There's none of that crock. So either they shut their mouths and get off their soapboxes, or I'm going to do it for them, and I will.
Well, you've got a lot of people that will join you, and I just came across the Tessarian snippet today where, you know, he kind of threw a half of a bone at people with their flat earth theory. And I have quite liked Tessarian over the years, but he lost any credibility with me when he did that. So sucks to be him, because he's going to get called out now.
He's lost everything. He's down in the gutter like all the rest of the swine eaters. He is a buffoon pseudo-scientist. There's no transcendental wisdom in him at all, including David Icke, including David Whitehead. Icke, Alex Jones, I don't care who they are. If they're a globalist, they're going down, down, down for all of eternity. And the truth will be preached from the rooftops. And syncretism is attracting all the best people like you, sister. And I do not encourage anyone to copy my attacking approach and my attacking way. I've had to do this. I'm doing it, and I know what I'm doing. I know it's not doing any favors to my reputation. I don't care about my reputation. I don't have any fat head diseases. I don't have any certificates on the wall, and I don't have any other agenda other than truth. I don't care what your name is, whether it's Max Egan or whether it's David Dunce Icke or David Dunce Whitehead. You're going down if you're a globalist, because the globe is the pseudoscience. It is the theory. And don't you ever, if I hear anyone saying flat earth theory, they're going to be put on the dunce list for all time. And I do repeat, do not copy my example. It's not a good example. I don't like being like this, but I have to do it. Why? Because I'm the leading syncretist in the world, and I want the world to know that syncretism and geocentrism are married at the hip, and that I will denounce all the dunces. Just as Jesus turned the money changers, just as he denounced the tax collectors, just as he denounced the drunkards, just as he denounced the gluttons, I'm doing the same thing. I will not stop.
And I think it's up to each individual how they work with it, but they do need to align themselves with truth. And I, for one, appreciate you not mincing your words. It's time that we stop dancing around this for other people's comfort, to make sure that we don't piss off our families or aggravate those who used to hold us in esteem or whatever. The time is past due, where we stop the murder, where we stop the scientism, cult-like religion that has become science, where you have to just take some authority's word for it. And at the end of my rant all the time, I talk about the concept of authority slave. If it weren't for our belief in authority and those who have set themselves up as rulers, with our energy, with our permission, with our complicity, we would have none of these problems we currently have.
None at all. If we exposed, and we will win, when the globe goes down. It's interesting, you know, half of these people, I don't know where their intelligence is. I think I do. It's down at their feet, that they are stamping on their intelligence with their feet. When they hear someone like Hillary Clinton, now you ask any of the truthers that I've mentioned in this show, you ask any one of them, does Hillary Clinton ever tell the truth? Ever, once? Yes or no?
They'll hunt and peck and try to find something probably, but no. I think the majority of us know that she does not.
Every time she opens her mouth, it is a lie, because she is a swine eater and a demon worshipper, if not a demon herself. So all of these guys, Johan Oldenkamp, all the ones I've mentioned, they'll all tell you, yes, she's a liar. And yet, how many times has she come out, and how many times can you hear her say, the earth is a globe, we love you, government is good, and the earth is a globe to boot? Why? And I mean, they don't have the intelligence, they don't have the mental force to put two and two together. If the biggest demon worshipping demon liar in history, Hillary Clinton, which is, I'm telling you, if she gets voted in, woe unto this earth. Woe unto this earth. If anything happens, that she should be the president of the most powerful nation on this earth. You'll be so sorry, people. You'll be so sorry. You'll regret it for the rest of eternity. This is Satan personified. And yet everything she says she follows with, and the earth is a globe. We know it's a globe because we've got the blue marble and we know it's a globe. And she just keeps repeating, we know it's a globe. We know it's a globe.
Yeah.
Can't any of these rotten brains put two and two together? I think they've been watching too much of Danny Wilton's Orion Nebula stuff or something.
Well, it's very possible, but anybody who can think straight would realize that that's a complete non sequitur. You know, I love America, which is bullcrap, and the earth is a globe, which is bullcrap. And we've already established what comes out of her mouth is bullcrap. And therefore, like I said at the beginning, if the fruit of the tree is rotten, the tree is rotten, period.
Yep. So just so that we get this right, all of you half-truthers, half-cocked, half-witted truthers out there, is it a flat earth theory or is it a globe theory? Please provide the answer. And I want to see a video produced by any one of these clowns showing how the bullseye North Pole star trails explain two motions. I want them to teach the world, the whole world now, because they are responsible for truth, are they not? Mm-hmm. How is it that these time-lapse images prove and explain the rotation of the axis and the orbit around the sun? How is it, please, Johan, Danny the Dunce, Max, any one of you clowns? Either you make a video explaining it within 5 days, or you shut the F up, or I will shut you up and I'll knock you off your soapboxes, all of you Mayavadi half-truthers, demon-worshipping, swine-eaters, half-cocked, half-witted morons. And sorry to tell the truth at you. I hope your ego is hurt, and you're all sort of hurt now. Oh, Santos called me a naughty name. Wake up, get with the truth, and stop talking bull, global.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this, unless you have anything else you'd like to add.
No, thank you. That's fine. Thanks, Shelley. That was very kind of you to interview me and to be so patient with my, my fervor and vim for the truth, and certain expletives and words which you've allowed me to use. I'm very sorry. But I will do it again. And I just want anyone to know that they're going to interview me. I ain't going to be tolerating no Danny Dunces. No way. We'll knock them off their soapboxes and they will shut up. And only the truth will pervade and be left on this planet. And so we can live in peace. Finally, we will have peace. Peace is around the corner. We will see paradise as long as we recognize the truth and honor the truth and the Creator, and not the theories of men, like the globe theory, the theory of relativity, the theory of gravity, the theory of the Big Bang theory, the evolution theory. These are theories. They are demonic and have no place in our cerebrums. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good night, Santos.
Good night, sister. Thank you.
Thank you.